Today we are reviving the Disney as WINX series, starting with Elsa. Hello everybody, I'm Nicole, these are my rabbits, and welcome to Sketching with Rabbits. The last time I posted this series was back in February of 2023, over 2 years ago, when we transformed Jasmine into a WINX fairy. Obviously, it's been some time since then, but I still have the poll saved from when you guys voted on YouTube and Instagram, and Elsa was the winner, with Aurora coming close in second. As always with this series, you'll be able to vote on the next character I WINXify, so be sure to subscribe on YouTube and follow me on Instagram at Sketching with Rabbits so you're able to see the post and vote. This is actually the second version of Elsa's WINX design that I created. The first one was drawn back in 2023, and although I still like it, I thought it could use some improvement because it felt a little stiff. I'm still going to make both versions into coloring pages, which will be available on my Etsy, linked in the description. Since I wanted a more dynamic pose, I took inspiration from figure skating and tried to blend in the gracefulness and elegance. Since Elsa is a fairy here, she can fly, so I didn't worry too much about the ice skates or contact with the ground, and instead focused on the legs and how they moved and bent. I also wanted to make the arms and hands feel graceful, since that seems like a big part of figure skating, so I used an S curve as my line of action for quite a bit of the drawing. When I started coloring, the main issue I actually ran into were that the markers that I chose seemed a little darker than I anticipated, especially when compared to an image of the original Elsa, who has much paler hair and skin. I went over both her skin and hair with a colorless blender to try and lighten it a bit, but honestly, that didn't really do much, and in the end, I just wound up leaving it as is. For Elsa's dress design, I wanted to incorporate elements of her different outfits, of which she has many. I felt like previous Disney as WINX designs that I created started to get a little lazy on my end, where a lot of the design came from the original characters and I wasn't really thinking outside of the box, especially with Rapunzel and Megara. So from now on, I'm trying to make an effort to create a design that is inspired by the WINX Enchantix transformations, the original characters, and outside elements that I can incorporate and reference. Although, now that I'm saying that, I am interested in creating a Believix version for characters too, because I'll be honest, I miss drawing shoes. Elsa's dress is inspired by figure skating outfits because I remember when I watched figure skating, they always look so sparkly and magical, and I figured ice would make sense. Her bodice, high neckline, and patterns are inspired by her coronation dress, and the blue gradient color is from her ice dress. I wanted her hair to be out like in her final transformation, but I did incorporate little braids as an homage to her signature braid. Her wing colors were inspired by her final outfit, but if it's not obvious, I didn't look at a reference, so they're definitely more on the pink-purple side than lavender. I guess I remembered wrong. However, one of the element crystals is more pink-purple, so I'm going to stick with that. The shape of her wings were influenced by her two flowy cape drape things, but in my first version, the wings were basically diamonds with the elements patterns within them. Although I don't think it's a bad idea, it was the first and only idea I had at the time. When I finished coloring this piece with alcohol markers, I definitely felt like it was missing a lot. I had outlined it in black ink, but it was a lot messier than I would have liked, and it didn't help that baby was kicking me during this time. I added in some gold gel pen, which did help a little bit by adding some accent to the blue. I ended up bringing out my colored pencils as well to enhance the shadows and colors in parts that I felt like needed it. I used the white color pencil to lighten the end of the dress because originally I actually wanted that to be much lighter. The colorless blender didn't lighten it enough, and I didn't plan very well when coloring. So the white color pencil helped a little bit, at least more than the colorless blender did. The final step included adding the infamous white gel pen, which will be linked down below, along with all the other materials I use in this video. Overall, I'm actually really happy with how Elsa turned out. Initially, I actually didn't have very high hopes because I did do a trial run the day before, and that did not turn out well. But looking at this final piece now, I really like the outcome, and if you want to color her as well, her coloring page is available on my Etsy as a link in the description and in the pinned comment. As always, your support in any form is always appreciated. So with that, I want to thank you all so much for joining me today. Don't forget to vote on which character you want to see me Winxify next. Keep creating contails. I will see you in the next video.